Hey everyone, welcome to Taste Different Gaming Appetizers. What are we talking about this time? Well, Immortals of Avion developer Ascendant Studios has reportedly furloughed most of its remaining staff. 6 months after laying off nearly half of its staff, which we did talk about before, following poorly received launch of Immortals of Avion, developer Ascendant Studios has reportedly now furloughed the majority of its remaining employees. Word of the new troubles at Ascendant came the way of a LinkedIn post from a former employee, Chris Morris, or Mornes, I don't know, however you say his last name, who said the majority of their staff, he estimates around 30 in total, have been placed on furlough. That means impacted employees will retain their jobs will have reduced or no hours, and thus reduced or no income due to lack of work. As they're not being let go, they're also not eligible for severance pay, although their benefits packages will presumably be maintained. Ascendant has not yet commented on the report as of yet. Ascendant Studio laid off roughly 45% of its employees in September 2023, which we did talk about, just after a month of the launch of Immortals of Avion. The game did okay in reviews and stuff like that. I haven't played it, but I think this month, was it this month or last month? I can't remember, but that was the free game on PlayStation Plus. So if you have PlayStation Plus, that was the free game for that month. So I picked it up because I have PlayStation Plus. So I'll play it at some point. It looks interesting, but again, I don't know. There was too many. We talked about this before, but there was two big games that came out at the same time, and those were, if I remember correctly, those were franchises that were known, and this one was a new franchise, and it was just a bad time to put that game out, I think, personally. And the game, it's just not, it just doesn't got a lot. It just doesn't got a big player base. There's not a lot of people playing it. I think it was kind of like a game that I would assume a lot of people just didn't know it existed, really, truthfully. Because even though it was showing off and stuff, it was really kind of overshadowed by everything else coming out, right? And all the big games coming out around that time, I think overshadowed this game in particular, right? So I think it was I want to say Armored Core 6 came out around that time. I think when we last talked about it, and there was something else I can't remember, but there was two big releases that came out around that time. I want to say Armored Core 6 was one of them. So it sounds like, as of right now, Ascendant Studios is not closed down, but it ain't looking good. And it looks like it might be going that direction. So Shane, throw it over to you, man. What do you think of them furloughing the rest of the majority of their staff?
My heart goes out to the staff. My first thought when I ever hear this is people. I'm not a people person by any means, but I do care about people, and it breaks my heart to know that people have lost their jobs. People lose their jobs, that puts families at risk. I don't like that. Now, that being said, yeah, Nick, you are correct. Armored Core 6 was released just a couple days after Immortals of Avion. So, yeah, we talked about this before a bit, but yes, you are correct. I believe that one of the big problems was bad timing, really bad timing. August normally isn't a really gamer heavy time of the year typically, but still kind of picking up through the pandemic stages of 21, 22. A lot of things are pushed back. So, August was kind of heavy because there was another game, and I can't remember what it was. I'm sure you'll know it. That, came out, and it's like, oh my God, which do we choose? A game of, well, everybody was excited for, especially mech gamers. or this never heard of it really title from a studio I'm not too sure I know anything about. I'm going to go with the one with a background to it, one with history, personally. Now, but that never means a game is bad. It just means it's not known. You don't know what kind of game it is, what kind of game it's going to be when it launches, or anything like that. So I think it was just a lot of bad things at a bad time, and it sucks because the reviews were overall positive, throughout the gaming sphere, and it's just people didn't pick it up because there was too much to play at that time, and money is tight. You can't buy everything, especially when you ain't got time to play everything. I mean, hell, Nick. I mean, your backlog is so backed up. It's like a Taco Bell toilet. I mean, it's just blocked up for the next 2 years. So it does break my heart that people are losing their jobs because of poor decisions. I think if they would have released this game a month earlier, or really 4 months later, because September, starts picking up with games typically, and then October, November, definitely. December's not as bad because everything else launched in November in time for Christmas, blah, blah, blah. So it's just, I think people were making bad decisions. I think they were probably forced into that date because, some investors were like, I want my money, release it. I don't care what it does, just release it. So, but my heart goes out to the people that lost their jobs, and my foot goes up the ass of the people that took those jobs. So, but that's what I got.
Yeah, the other big game, which I can't believe I forgot what it was. I had to go look it up. Was Baldur's Gate 3? That came out at the beginning of August.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. There was no chance for even I would think, honestly, I think even a mainstream game to release between those two would have had a hell of a time as well.
Yeah.
Because they were both extremely, extremely popular games. Armored Core 6 was surprisingly really hyped for by a lot of gamers. Some gamers I wouldn't even expected to like that franchise, but that game did amazingly well. Baldur's Gate 3, obviously game of the year, and it kicked a lot of ass. So Avion, Immortals didn't have a chance in hell in that position. There was just no way. It was an impossible task.
Right.
Now, if they would have just got it out a little sooner or quite a bit later, they would have been fine, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think if they would have delayed it just to kind of like Alone in the Dark did, and it would be interesting to see how well Alone in the Dark's sales numbers are, since they pushed it out to a much, not as chaotic month, right? I mean, they still did release around a big game release. I think they released around the same time as Rise of the Ronin. So, that was a big exclusive for PlayStation, but and I think there was another game too. I can't think of what it was. That was a big release around that time. But they missed like the gambit of big releases, right? Because they were going to come out around the time of Baldur's Gate and Armored Core and stuff like that. And what was the other? There was another horror game that was coming out at the same time. That of course, which we played, but of course, other people would have played over Alone in the Dark.
Crap! What was that? It wasn't Resident Evil.
I can't remember what it was. I don't know.
Crap! I cannot remember.
I can't remember.
But yeah, you're right. I'm positive you're correct that it was another suspense horror type game. God, what?
Oh,
was
Alan
that?
Wake. It was Alan Wake.
Yes, Alan Wake. God, and another game of the year contender right there.
Yeah, I think that was my game of the year.
Yeah.
in our little
Yes, it was.
podcast where we talked about our favorite games for the year, and Alan Wake 2 is my favorite.
Yep. Go back and watch that one and tell us what you think, by the way, because my choice was better than his.
Yeah, I mean, but that August, it had Baldur's Gate, it had Armored Core 6, which were two games that I was playing in August, as well as Sea of Stars, which came out at the end of August, which was another. I mean, that's already three games on there that I would rather play than Immortals of Avion, right? And which I did, right? And that's the reason I didn't play Immortals of Avion, because I had three other games that I really wanted to play, and I loved all three games. All three of those games. I don't think Baldur's Gate was on my Game of the Year list, but it was definitely it was definitely a good game, and I enjoyed it. It was like one of my honorable mentions. But Sea of Stars was right behind Alan Wake 2 as far as my like I think during that review I said if I could have picked two games, it would be Sea of Stars and Alan Wake. I loved both of those games, and Baldur's Gate as well. So, and Armored Core. Armored Core was a great game. So it's like, for Immortals of Avion, yeah, I think they just released it at a bad time. That's why Alone in the Dark kind of was like, nah, we're gonna push out a little bit. And then they did push out, Alone in the Dark did, to a couple of big releases, but it wasn't like as packed. But yeah, I just don't think that helped Immortals of Avion to release around the time it did, especially for a new IP, right?
Yeah, and I think Alone in the Dark sales were okay on it. I don't think it was a killer, but I think pushing it definitely made it more money than it would have lost.
I agree. I think it probably helped it, because especially around this time, this is around the time that because it released it released in March, I believe, right?
March, yeah. Yep.
And this is the time, during the spring, summertime, this is when games really start to, there's a big distance, right? There's really nothing to play. This is a great time to catch up on your back catalog, or to pick up those releases that do kind of sprinkle in from time to time. So, around the summertime is really when games typically we don't see big games come out, right? It's usually around the holiday season, fall holiday season, when people can't go outside, right? It's cold and snowing or whatever. And so people stay inside. So all those big games release and stuff. And at the beginning of the year too, we saw a lot of big games at the beginning of February and March and stuff like that. January and February mainly. But now we're starting to see those releases. There's still a lot of games coming out, don't get me wrong, but the big releases are starting to dwindle, right? That's why we aren't reviewing something until like almost the end of April, because there's really just nothing to review, right? And there's nothing that really that we're like super interested in. So we're using this time to catch up on backlog. But yeah, I mean, it sucks for that studio. I do want to try the game out. Like I said, it was free on I think it's this month, the April one. It is free for PlayStation Plus. So if you're a PlayStation Plus subscriber, you can go pick it up for free and add it to your library.
Now, is that PlayStation Plus, or is that PlayStation Plus Plus, or Plus?
It's just PlayStation Plus. It's the monthly games. So
okay,
yeah,
I'll check it out then if it is this month, because I don't ever think about PlayStation Plus ever.
Right. Well, they're the only ones still doing free games, right? Microsoft doesn't do that anymore.
No, gold. No, they don't. Well,
and they have Game Pass, but they don't do games gold.
I think their Game Pass is still better. So
yeah,
but that's just me. But hopefully those Immortal Avion employees that lost their jobs, they find something new, they find something better, they find something they love. Help start your own development. Go home, crack that computer open, tell your wife to work a few doubles while you make a blockbuster game. I wish them all the best. I truly do.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it sucks for the studio. They could have really, it seems like they have a talented bunch of people there. So they, who knows what they could have ended up making in the future. But I mean, Ascendant Studio is still around as of now, but they've let off quite a bit of their staff they let off a bunch in September and they furloughed the rest, or half of what was left now. So they still technically work for them, but they're not really doing any sort of work. So I suspect that company is probably not going to be around for much longer unless someone swoops in and picks them up or something, or dumps a bunch of money into it. But
well, hopefully not, because I really don't want to see any more mergers and buyouts, because I think everybody's bought up too much. Now, that being said, I would rather see them bought up than go out of business.
right.
That's just me.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Do you have anything else you want to add to this?
No. Just good luck to everybody.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, let us know down in the comments below. Have you played Immortals of Avion? What did you think of that game? If you have played it, if not, like I said, if you have PlayStation Plus, you can go pick it up for free. I believe it is the April game, free game for April, I want to say. But so you can go and pick it up and try it out if you haven't played it yet. But other than that, let us know what you think down in the comments below. Also, make sure you subscribe, help us out. Do us a favor, hit that subscribe button if you're not already. That helps us out big time. Hit the like button, hit the bell notification to stay up to date with new videos that we do all the time, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.